Hey y'all, and welcome to this live training on Adobe Premiere Pro. You are here because you want to learn to edit videos in this really powerful program that might also be a little bit intimidating when you first open it up. Maybe you launched the app and you were like, okay, there's a lot going on here. Or maybe you started a project and you're not exactly sure all the steps to finish it. If either one of those sound like you, then welcome, my friend. You're in the right place because today we are going to be covering all the things. So today we're going to be talking about the whole entire editing process from start to finish in Premiere Pro. So we're going to be talking about how to set up your project. We're going to be talking about how to navigate the interface and make sure you know where everything is. We're going to be talking about editing footage, but not just editing footage, but how do you edit footage really fast and efficiently, because I know you have a life to live. Then we're going to be doing color and audio adjustments because I want you looking good. I want you sounding good. We're also going to be adding some titles and graphics to our video because that makes things really fancy and we want fancy videos. And then, of course, we're going to be exporting your video in different sizes so that your social media game can be on point and you can, upload it to the internet and blow up the internet with your brilliance and then, make the impact on the world that you want to make through the stories that you're telling. So as we're covering these things, we are going to be getting hands-on with a project because I know that, you could watch me do it, but if you can get in there and get your hands dirty and experiment, then that is going to help you learn a lot better. And so if you want to follow along, there's a link down in the description where you can download all of the assets that I'm using as I'm making this project for this webinar. So let me tell you a little bit about the project we're making. We're going to be making an intro for a video. It's a YouTube video where I am giving tips on keeping your camera gear organized, controlling the chaos so that you can find what you need when you need it. All right. I also don't want you to be stressing the whole time about writing everything and taking notes. I want you to be able to, get in there, get your hands dirty, digest what you're learning. And then I want you to know I have a recap guide that goes through all of the steps that I'm covering in this webinar. So that's got text and images and links to tutorials so that, if you need to brush on something later, just know peace of mind, that is there. And then finally, I want to tell you that your questions are welcome. So, don't feel like you're going to interrupt me. I'm going to be checking the chat throughout. Also, everybody say hey to Caroline from the Adobe team. She is in the chat and she'll also be helping answer your questions that you have about Premiere or any of the other Adobe apps. But before we get into things, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Betsy. You can call me Mary. I am a filmmaker, a designer, and a teacher. You might hear a little bit of twang in this webinar because I'm originally from South Carolina, but right now I am in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that's because my husband and I have a couple of video production companies together. So we make marketing videos and recruitment videos for companies. And we also have a wedding video business. So y'all, when I tell you that I edit a lot of videos, I spend a lot of time in Premiere, I am keeping it real. And I'm really excited to show you around this program because there's so much that you can do with it. Now, little disclaimer though, I have taught a lot of Premiere tutorials, but I am a noob at live streaming. This is my second live stream teaching Premiere, and so I need a little bit of help from you because last time I think I may have gone a little fast. And so throughout the webinar, if you think that I'm leaving you in the dust and I'm flying through things and I'm going too fast, then go ahead and put a stop sign emoji in the chat to let me know to slow down. If you want me to speed up, put a green circle. I'll be like, okay, that's a green light. I need to accelerate. Or if things are going okay, you want me to just pace is good and keep it moving, then put a thumbs up, okay? And then let me know if everybody, can hear me and see me okay too. Make sure I got this chat box where I can see it too. Okay, awesome. Enough with this intro. Let's get into making this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you here. Okay, so before we touch Premiere, we're not there yet for our project. It is very important that we take a first step. That first step that we want to take is we want to make sure that we have all the files that our project is going to use in one project folder. And I know that you're probably like, girl, I get it. I know how to organize the files on my computer. You don't need to tell me that. Just tell me how to use Premiere. But the thing is, this is really important because Premiere needs to be able to find the files, in order for your project to work. That's a lot easier if everything is saved in one project folder, but if you've got files that are all over your computer in a bunch of random folders, and then you're moving those files around and you're renaming them, and then maybe you forgot you had files here and you accidentally delete them, that is going to be a problem. And then Premiere is going to get confused and it's going to not know where your files are. And then, of course, you're going to have this hot mess that you have to deal with. Ain't nobody got time for that. And so it is so much easier if you just organize all your files from the beginning in one project folder. So if you're following along, you will see we have got all of those files in our project folder. So we're doing so well already, y'all. Okay, so now we're going to launch Premiere. When we do that, we're going to get a welcome screen. And y'all, look at this. Premiere is being so friendly, saying, welcome to Premiere, Mary. You should see a message like this on your screen too. So everybody say, hey, Premiere, and we about to get this party started. So to start things off, we're going to go up to the top left to this button that is called New Project. New Project, top left. You're going to click that. When we do that, we're going to get a settings window for our project. And I'll drag this on my other screen. My goodness, there are so many things here to decide, but don't worry, we're going to keep it simple. So first, we're going to name our project. So let's call this Gear Organization Tips. And next, we're going to tell Premiere where to save it. Y'all already know where we're saving it. We're keeping everything organized. So we're going to go and find our dedicated project folder and then tell Premiere that is where it's at. So you're going to find that folder and then you're going to click Choose. All right, y'all, we are done with this first tab here called General. Easy, easy. So now we're going to go to the second tab here called Scratch Discs, and we have all of these things: captured video, captured audio, video previews, audio previews, project Odyssey. My gosh, what are these things? Okay, so these are folders that are going to be created by Premiere. Premiere is going to stuff some files in them, and that's going to make your project work. You don't have to worry about creating these. Premiere is going to create these folders and files for you in the background, but what it wants to know now is where to save them. Very easy. We already know this. We are going to save everything in the same folder as our project in one project folder, right? So you're just going to go through all of these and you're going to say same as project. And you know, Premiere is used by a lot of big studios that might have a ton of footage that they need to save all these things in different places. But for us, we're going to keep it simple and just put same as project all the way down. And then we're going to go down here and click OK. All right, let me just make sure. Confirm I'm not talking to nobody. Nope, I'm still on the internet. Great. All right, now Premiere is launching, and we're going to get into the interface, and then I'm going to show you around. Okay. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong workspace. Y'all just let me do a little bit of organizing here. Okay, so I'm going to rearrange things just a little bit, and you'll notice that things are very customizable here in Premiere, which I love. I like to set things up just so. After all, we are making a video about organization tips. Okay, so let me tell you what's going on here. In this interface, I've got different boxes here, okay? Each one of these boxes in Premiere is called a panel. Each panel in Premiere does something different. It has a different job, all right? So down here, for example, we have a tools panel. We have a timeline panel here. We're obviously going to be getting into a lot of those. But this is not all of the panels in Premiere. We don't want all the panels up at once because that would be a hot mess. We only want the panels up that we need when we need them. And because of that, you will notice, oops, let me scroll up all the way, go all the way to the top. You will notice up here that we have like kind of these phases of our edit here. And these are here, what they're called is workspaces. Each workspace in Premiere is going to give you a different, collection of panels depending on where you're at. And so that makes things really easy, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to, for right now, I want you to pick the assembly workspace because we're about to assemble our video, right? Now, when you select that, your assembly workspace might look a little different than mine does because again, you could notice like we were moving things around. Things are very customizable, okay? So if there's a panel up in one of your workspaces that you don't want to show up in Premiere, it's very easy to close it. You just go up to this hamburger menu and then you go to close panel. But we're not going to close the source panel. That's very important and you'll see why in a sec. Now, if there's a panel that's not here that you want, you can go up to this window menu here and then look at this. There are so many cool panels and we're going to get into a lot of these in a minute. But for now, we're going to start right over here. We're going to start with this panel. And this panel is called the project panel. The project panel is like the refrigerator in your little Premiere Pro kitchen. Okay, so this is where we're going to store, stay on screen. This is where we're going to store all of the raw ingredients for our project. And we're going to find things, we're going to organize things, we're going to prep things. And so right now our project panel is empty. She's so sad about that. So we're going to get some media in her. To do that, we're just going to right click and then we're going to go to import. Okay, right click and import. The other option we can use, which is what I like to do, is a little drag and drop situation here. So if you're following along, I want you to go to the assets and find the footage folder here. And we're just going to drag and drop that right into Premiere. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go down here to these view options, which we're going to talk about in a second, and I'm just going to put this in list view real fast. And I want you to notice up here in the project panel that our footage folder has come in, except in Premiere, if I hover over this, you'll notice it's not called a folder, it's called a footage bin. And the reason is because like back in the day when they had physical reels of film, before the days of digital, they weren't storing it in folders, they were storing it in these giant bins, and so that carried over. So a bin in Premiere is just a folder where you store your files. So if you want to create a bin or folder so that you can organize some things, you can right click here and you can go to New Bin. You can also go down here to the bottom right of this panel and you'll see a little folder or bin icon, and you can create a new bin that way. Okay, so now I want you to notice up in the top left of this project panel, we have this beautiful little search bar. This search bar is like the search engine within Premiere. So, you know, we're having all our files here, but let's say we want to find something really fast. I can just type in the name of a file. I don't even have to type it all the way in, and look, Premiere is bringing up only those files. I could also type in video to show just the video assets I have. I could type in like 1080 or MP3. I don't have any MP3s in here, but you get the point. You can type any attribute and then Premiere has got your back. All right, now if you're following along, I want you to expand this footage bin and then just expand that first bin of shots. And I want you to notice what is going on over here on the right side. We've basically got like this spreadsheet of all the metadata about these files here. And just like any other spreadsheet, you know, we can sort by a column, we can rearrange the columns. I can right click here and go to metadata display, and I can tell Premiere, look, I want to add some more metadata columns. And when I tell y'all that Premiere is going to give you options, okay, I am not playing. But we can also just keep it really simple. So let's back out of that because that is a little extra for me. All right, and now I've messed up my workspace, so let me just get things back in order here. Okay, so now let's see what else I want to tell you about this panel. Oh, I know. I want to tell you about these view options down here. But first, what I want you to do is, if you're following along, you've got this footage here. I want you to go to this first bin of intro shots, and I want you to double click it. And then I want you to notice that when I double click this, up here at the top, now I've got two project panel tabs. So we can have multiple tabs open in the project panel, just like we were in Chrome or we were in, you know, OS X Finder or whatever. Okay, now let's talk about these view options down here at the bottom. Right now we're in list view. We could also go to icon view down here. And of course we're going to get previews, which is very convenient. And then there's this other view down here that's called freeform view. And that is going to let us do like whatever we want. So we can, you know, stack things up like we've got cards on a table. All right, and then down here we've also got a slider, and we can adjust the size of things. I will say icon view, I'm an organized person, is a little bit of a mess for me, so we're going to, or I mean freeform view, so we're going to go over to icon view and get everything lined up. And then we have sort options down here, and we can sort by just about any piece of metadata. In our case, we're just going to go to name. All right, so now that we know this is the panel where we're going to organize things, we're going to get into like cutting up this video and making it the right way. But first, I want to show you around because I want you not to be lost about the interface. So this is basically my home. This is where I live in Premiere. I spend a lot of time here, so I'm just going to show you around my space and give you a little tour real fast. Okay, so we already know about this panel right here, and we know that this is the project panel, right? So we know this is where we're going to be organizing assets. We're also going to be previewing them and getting them ready before we put them on our timeline. Now the other panel where we're going to do that is right over here. This right here is known as the source panel. The reason it is known as the source panel is because these assets right here in our project panel, these are our source assets, right? These are the sources that we're making our video from. And so when we double click an asset over here, it is going to show up in the source panel, and we're going to be able to see it bigger. And we're also going to be able to hear the audio. And, you know, so like the project panel is where you're trimming up things really quickly. But then if you're like, okay, I need a closer look to decide, then you're putting them on the source panel. But for both of these panels, we're going to be dragging footage onto this panel down here, this long panel, which I'm sure you can probably already guess what this is. This is the timeline. So this is where we're going to be building our sequence of clips and our final videos that we're going to export. And then this last panel up here, this is known as the program panel. So I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, my grandma used to call like TV shows, she used to always say, I got to watch my TV program. And so this is the program that you're creating, the TV program you're creating. And so when we play our timeline, it's going to show up in the program panel. Okay, so this is like the basic situation here in Premiere. So now that you know a little bit about how these panels work, oh, I know. No, you need to know a little bit more before we get in, because I want to show you around the timeline here. But first, let me drink some water because I don't want my voice to go out completely. Okay, so if you're following along now, first thing I want you to do is just notice that if we double click a clip here, just double click any piece of footage, you'll see, okay, it's bigger in the source panel. All right, then I want you to go over to the project panel. I want you to go to the main tab where we've got like all of our folders here. And I want you to go to the second folder and the third folder or bin, right? And just shift click and select both of those. Okay, folder 2 and 3. And then you're just gonna drag those entire bins onto the timeline here. All right, so now we've got our footage here. And right now I want you to press the space bar, because when we press the space bar in Premiere, that is, oops, stay on screen. That is how we're going to play our video and how we're going to stop our video, okay? So when we press the space bar, you'll see play, space bar again, stop, okay? Now, I want you to notice when I press that space bar that something's moving down here. This down here, you'll see we've got this like line here. This is the playhead, okay? Because wherever this is starting, wherever this line is, that is where our video is going to start playing from. And then it's also got this little head here. All right, so this head we can drag around and navigate through our timeline. I also want you to notice when I move my mouse up here at the top, I've got this little like short gray line, right? So this is happening around these tick marks and these little time code numbers. Whenever I see that, I can click and then my playhead is automatically going to go there. That's not going to happen down here. It's only happening up here. So that's a really fast way to get around. Okay, then what else do I want to tell you? Oh yeah, I want to tell you that, let me get back on this timeline so we can see. Okay, so right here, on the top of this thick line, we've got video, and on the bottom, we've got audio. Now that's kind of hard to see right now, but I'm gonna make it easier to recognize in a second. And then each one of these right here is called a track, and we can stack video tracks up, video clips up on this timeline. The higher video clips are going to cover up the lower video clips. And then down here, we can also stack audio on these different tracks. And so like right here, I've got speaking audio, I could add music and so on. All right, now it's hard to kind of see that this is video and audio on top. And so what I want you to do is I want you to hover your mouse right here, and then you're going to drag this track and make it taller, and then you'll see we got previews. So that's much easier to see what's going on here. We could also just double click here at the head of or at the left side of this timeline, and then we're also going to get previews. We're going to be able to expand and collapse our tracks here, but I want to expand them. I want to see what's going on. Okay, then I want you to notice we've got this bar down here. So if I drag in and out the end of this bar, I'll zoom out so we can see a little bit better. So if I drag it out, then we're zooming out. And if I drag it in, we're zooming in. And this is really, really useful because, we want to see the big picture of what's going on in our timeline. And then we want to be able to be taken, to a certain clip that we're working on. Okay. But I generally do not use this bar. What I use is this tool over here. This is called the hand tool. You can also get to this tool by pressing the H key, and I love this because I can just grab my way from left to right on my timeline, and that's really fast. Now, once we have this hand tool selected though, the problem is like if we want to click and select a clip, we can't do that. So we need to go back to our selection tool, and to do that, we can just click over here in the tools panel, but we could also press the shortcut key V. And the way that I remember a V, that V is the shortcut for the pointer tool, is you'll see like a V kind of looks like an upside down pointer. And so that's how I remember that, because, a V is pointy and so is that pointy pointer. Okay, so now what else do I want to tell you? Oh, I know. I want to tell you about the arrow keys. So we'll start with the left and the right arrow keys. Stay on screen here. So left and right. I just made them go away after I just put them there. Okay, so this is going to go back in your timeline. This is going to go forward, and this is going to do it frame by frame. And if you don't know what a frame is just an image in our video, because video is made up of a bunch of frames. It's like a flip book. There are 24 frames in a second. And so when we do this, left and right arrow, it's going to go really, really slowly. So let me just go to an action clip real fast so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Here we go. Right arrow, we are just inching along. And then left arrow, we're going backwards, okay? Right goes forward, left goes backwards. And then the other arrow keys we've got are the up arrow and the down arrow. Those are also going to go back and forward in our timeline, but those are going to go by clip. And so that's going to get you go in between clips. And so you're going to be able to move across your timeline much faster. So you're going to be going to these little seams in your timeline. Okay, so I'll show you. I'll press the down arrow and you'll see I'm going forward, the up arrow, and I'm going backwards. So that's a super fast way to get around. Okay, now lastly, I want to show you a couple ways to get around the timeline using custom shortcuts. So I know that when you're first learning a program, it can be really hard to memorize all of the shortcuts. And you're like, look, I am just figuring this out. I don't know why we have to get involved with all these keyboard shortcuts. But I promise if you just spend a little bit of time in the very beginning learning some of these shortcuts, just a few of them, it's going to make a massive difference. You're going to save so much time in the long run. Okay, so the way the shortcuts work in Premiere is that they're spread out across this keyboard. But I don't love that. That means about half of them are over on this right side. The reason I don't like that is because I am right-handed. And so that means my right hand wants to be over on this mouse. We're all going to pretend that that looks like a hand, okay? Then my left hand wants to be over here on the keyboard. So that means that, if the shortcuts are over here, then my right hand is having to go back and forth, and that is not as efficient as if all of the shortcuts, or the most important ones that I use all the time, were over on under this left hand. So I'm going to show you how I have customized a few of these shortcuts. Okay, so the first one, I was saying that you're going to zoom in and out on your timeline a lot. And I don't like using that little scroll bar at the bottom, but the default shortcut keys for zooming in and out are up here on the right side. I don't want that. So instead, I've set them over on the left side. So I've set them to some keys that are really easy to get to. I've set them to the T and then to the R keys. And what I love about that is it's just so fast for my left hand to get to, because it's right there. I don't even have to move. All right, so like I said, these are going to be our zoom keys, and the oh no, that's backwards. I was just looking on the timeline, or on my keyboard. So that was a lie. So the R key is over here, R, and then the T key is over here, right? Okay, that's better. So like I said, these are your zoom keys. And then over here, this key right here is going to be our zoom in key. And I always think of T is take me to that clip, so zoom in. And then this key, the R key, is going to be our zoom out key. So I think of retreat back, okay? So T for zoom in, and then R for zoom out. And then the other key that I'm going to customize real fast is related to shuttling. When you shuttle in Premiere, that is how you're going to go really fast on your timeline, because I always think if you walk somewhere to get to from point A to point B, you could walk, but that's going to take a while. But if you took a shuttle bus, then you're going to get there really, really fast, right? And so this is how we're going to fast forward on our timeline. And so I have also set that to a shortcut key that is really easy to remember, and that's on my left side. And I have set that to be the F key. because that makes me think of like fast forward, right? Oh no, I faded everything. Okay, so we're going to set it to the F key. And the F key is our fast forward key. If we press it one time, then our timeline is going to go at normal speed. If we press it 2 times, then we're going to go double speed, triple speed, quadruple speed, and then like, I don't know how fast your computer is, but you can get on up depending on what a beast it is. All right, so now that we know this is how we want to customize these shortcuts, I'm going to show you how to customize shortcut keys in Premiere because it's super easy and it's awesome that there's this flexibility. So what we're going to do is go up to the Premiere Pro menu here, and then we're going to go to keyboard shortcuts, right? Then we're going to get this settings window, and this is cool because we can kind of click on a key and we can see, okay, these are all the shortcut keys we've set. But we're going to keep it simple here. We're going to customize those 2 that we customized before. So you're going to go to this search bar here and you're going to type zoom, okay? And then you're going to find zoom in and zoom out. Then over here, you're going to X out whatever keys are there if you want to customize like this. If you don't, then that's cool, do you, boo. And then you're going to set this to T for zoom in, take me to that clip, R for zoom out, retreat back. All right, when we're done with that, then I want you to go back to this search bar, and we're going to do our other command, oops, sorry, y'all, which is shuttle, okay? And the shuttle command, the one you're going to look for then, is shuttle right, okay? And then whatever shortcut is there, you're going to press X that out and put F, because shuttle right is going to take us forward or right on our timeline. So that's our fast forward. All right, and when you're done with that, you're just going to click OK. All right, now let's test these out. So we're going to go on our timeline, and you'll see I'm pressing R for retreat back, zoom out, T for take me to that clip. R, zoom out, T, zoom in, take me to that clip. And then the other one, of course, was the F key. So we press it once, our timeline is normal speed, twice, double, triple, quadruple. Okay, I don't want to break the live stream and stress out my computer's processor, but you get the idea. All right, so I think that's all I want to show you on the timeline for now to get you set up. Yes, okay, so by now, I know, your head's probably about to explode with these shortcuts. So let's do a lightning fast review here. So H is the hand tool. V is that pointer, the selection tool. Up and down is going to take you to the last and the next clip. So you're going to be able to go between clips. Left and right, you're going to go frame by frame. And then spacebar to play and stop your timeline. FF for fast forward. And then T, zoom in, take me to that clip. R, retreat back. So now that we've gone through, you kind of know how to get around. We're going to start making this video in a second, but I want to make sure that I check in with y'all and see how we're doing. So if there... Oh, also, actually, I want to tell you first, I do have a cheat sheet. I know there's a ton of shortcuts. You saw how many shortcuts you could customize in Premiere. And I do have a cheat sheet, that just has, it's a one-pager that just has the essential shortcuts, what I think are the ones worth memorizing first, so that you can be, have this foundation to be really fast in Premiere. So that's available in the recap guide that I've got linked in the description below. I think it's in the section that's for timeline navigation. Then you'll see a link to this cheat sheet if you're interested. Okay, so now I want to check in with y'all. Y'all give me some emojis there to kind of tell me, do you like the pace? Too slow, too fast? Keep it as is. And then if anybody's unclear on anything that I've covered so far, let me know. I'm just going to wait for a second, though, because there is a 15-second delay between what I'm saying right now and then when y'all are hearing me. So I just want to make sure that everybody's clear, everybody's feeling good. Do you, boo? Yes. So I just figured out how to use, well, I thought I figured out how to use this screen drawing app. But, there's a lot of monitors and things to juggle, so I'm still getting it down. But it's called Screen Brush, and it is absolutely amazing and feature-rich. I believe it's only for Mac, but it's called a Screen Brush. Yeah. Cool. Thumbs up. Okay, great. Wonderful. All right, so let's go ahead and move on, and we're going to get into editing this video here. Okay, so I'm going to get you back on my screen here. And let me get my script so that I don't ramble too much. Okay. Oh, I know. Actually, first, I want to say what we're going to do here is we want to trim our video clips. So right now, we just dragged a whole bunch of random stuff onto our timeline just so you could kind of figure out how to work it. But I want to when we're making a video, like that's not what we want to do. Because when you're filming, you know, you're going to have some dead time, like maybe you're setting up your camera, whatever. And so you really want to only add, like, you want to trim out the best stuff, the best excerpts from your footage, and only add that to your timeline, ideally, so that then you can really get like a view of what's going on your timeline. And so that's what we're going to do now. And I'm going to show you some fast ways to do that. So we're going to go back to my screen here. And if you are following along, go ahead and press that R key, retreat all the way back, select everything on your timeline and delete it. Then you're going to press the up arrow to get you to the beginning. All right. Now I want you to go over to your project panel. Make sure that you've got that first spin intro shots. Double click that so that it opens up in a new tab here. And then you're going to go to icon view. Down here at the bottom, just click icon view. And then we're going to see our previews. Okay, so with that, we're going to start trimming up. So make sure this panel is selected, the project panel. And then let me make these just a little bigger so we can see. All right, so first I want you to notice, if you just don't click this clip, just hover from left to right, and you'll see we're getting a preview of our video, which is awesome. Like, I don't even have to click just to see what's going on. Now, I can see here in the beginning that I'm kind of setting this shot up. And now I'm moving. So that means I want this shot to start right here, okay? Now, in video, hold on, y'all. I'm just going to close this shot so that I get a little blackboard here to work with. In video, whenever we want a shot to start, okay, that is where we want the shot to come in. And that is called the endpoint. To tell Premiere, this is where we want the shot to come in. This is our endpoint. We're going to press the I key. And then on the other side, where we want the shot to stop, that is called the out point. Uh-oh. And you can probably guess, like I said, I just discovered this app, so I'm still mastering it. But you can probably guess we're going to press the O key. So I-O to set the start and the end. So in and out on our clips. Okay, so let's test those out. And you'll see I'm hovering to preview here. I want the shot to start right here. So I'll press the I key. So I want you to notice we need to make sure that this panel is selected here when we do this, okay? So I'm gonna press the I key right here to set the endpoint. Then I'm gonna go, let's make this clip start right, or stop right here. Press the O key to set the out point. And then you'll notice, like right here, we've got this little blue line. So this is the part we've trimmed. Now to add this to our timeline, very simple. We're just going to drag this, okay? And I'll press T to zoom in and we can see. Now if I press the space bar to play this, you'll see only that excerpt has been added to our timeline. It's not permanent though. We can change our mind later. Nothing's been destroyed, you know. The whole clip is still there, but in our case, we had it trimmed up right. Okay, now we're going to click back on this project panel. And I'm going to hover again. So I'm going to hover to preview, I to set the endpoint, O to set the out point, click to select, and then this time, instead of dragging all the way onto my timeline, because that was like a long journey, I don't want to do that every time, I am going to press the comma key. The comma key is going to insert whatever clip is here, selected, in our project panel, this clip. And then it's going to put it on the timeline, like wherever, right after your playhead. So it's going to put it right here when you press that comma key. Okay, so that means if I press, like if I put my playhead right here in the middle of this clip and I press the comma key, then that clip is going to get split in two. This is inserted right there. We don't want to do that. That's weird. You'll also notice, like I changed the color of this clip because we can add label colors to clips, which is really convenient to kind of organize. And your timeline right now might by default like be a little more of rainbow colors. And that is because like you can also go into the preferences and say, this, like I want, for my preferences, I'll usually like set everything to be gray. And then if a clip needs attention, I'll make it yellow. I'll make it red if I need to re-record it. But again, do you boo, however you want to organize. Okay, I'll press the down arrow to go right here. And now I'm going to click back on my project panel. Now, if you accidentally have your timeline panel selected and you press the I key and the O key, then you're going to see like we're trimming out an excerpt on our timeline. And we don't want to do that. So maybe you did that and you're like, oh no, I already broke Premiere. Don't worry. You just need to right click and then go to clear in and out. So we're going to clear that in and out point, and then crisis averted. We're good to go. So now we're going to click back on the project panel. We're going to go back over here, and then we'll go through this basic sequence one more time. It's hover to preview, I to set the in point, O to set the out point, click to select, and then on my timeline, down arrow to get right where I want that next clip to go, and then comma to insert, right? And so you can get like super fast with this and just make like, you know, video editing, people always say that video editing takes forever, but if you know some of these shortcuts, that's why I'm kind of emphasizing them. And then it's just like hover, I, O, click, comma, and it's super fast. Now, I know, like I said, that it's a lot in the beginning to learn these things. And so I just want to say, like, if you're like, I can never remember all these shortcuts, I have a little trick to help you. So I made an entire rap song and a music video dedicated to this trimming sequence because I know it's a lot to memorize. And so if you're interested in that, look, I'm not telling you it's going to be the best song that you ever heard, but it will get these stuck in your head and help you edit faster. And you can watch that at marybetsy.com/shortcuts-song if you're interested. And then again, all of those keyboard shortcuts that I went over are on that shortcuts cheat sheet as well. Okay. Now, let me get to where I want to go. Okay. Now, like I said, this is where we're previewing and trimming footage really quickly. But then, you know, the other place that we're going to trim is the source panel here. So what I want you to do is just take a piece of footage and we'll just double click it and you'll see it opens up over in the source panel. In the source panel, to play footage, we can also press the space bar. We can also press our FF shortcut to fast forward. We can also press T to zoom in and R to retreat back. All right, we can also press I and O to set the in and the out points. And by the way, if I wanted to reset this, I just press I and O again. We could also drag onto our timeline, and to do that, we're just going to drag from anywhere in this preview screen, and then we can drag it. Or we can press the comma key from this source panel. And then let's say, I'm just going to go over here and grab a clip that has some audio. Let's say that I want to use the visual from this clip, but I don't want to add the audio. Then you'll notice we have these little icons here. And so I could drag from here, or I could just drag the audio. And so those are useful if we just, here's just the video, here's just the audio, and from up here, it's going to add both, right? Cool. Yeah, so that is trimming, okay? And so before we move on, I just want to make sure, you know, give me some feedback on the pace here, and I want to see if anybody has any questions. Is anything kind of unclear about trimming in that project panel or anything else? Yes, that's true. And there is a 15-second delay, like I said, so I'm just going to wait for a second and make sure things are coming in. In the meantime, you know, feel free to stretch or get some water. Self-care is definitely important for video editing. Okay, cool. So now what I want to do, sweet. Okay, cool. We're done like trimming. I showed you how to trim, right? But let me get back on Premiere so you can actually see what I'm doing. That would be helpful, right? Okay, so now as we were learning how to trim, we kind of made a hot mess on this timeline. So we're going to cheat a little bit and fast forward. So I want you to select everything on your timeline again and just delete it. Press the up arrow. So press the up arrow to go back to the beginning of your clip or your timeline here. And then over in the project panel, we're going to zoom in here. We are done with this tab of intro shots. We're just going to close that panel. And then I want you to go to the second bin here called intro shots edited. Okay, so bin number 2, intro shots edited. And we're going to just drag that entire bin onto the timeline. And now we've cheated. All of those intro shots are trimmed up exactly how we want. Okay, so now let's talk about actually the content. We've got visual intro shots here. These are looking good. These are grabbing people's attention. These are going to look great on the feed. These are going to stop thumbs, hopefully. And now, at this last shot, very dramatic, I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, hey, this is what this video is about. And so we're going to trim up some speaking clips here. So if you're following along, go back to our project panel here. I want you to grab bin number 3, speaking shots, okay? So select bin number 3, and then we're just going to, I'll press the R key to zoom out just a little. We're going to drag that entire bin right here after our intro shots. Now these shots here with audio, these speaking shots are not trimmed up yet. And I know that you told me you're like, Mary, you told me earlier we're not supposed to drag like footage that's not trimmed up, that we don't have the excerpts onto our timeline. But when it comes to clips with audio, I love trimming on the timeline. And I'll tell you why. So you'll see down here, we have these visual waveforms, and that's going to help us cut this audio really fast. Now, if you don't see these visual waveforms, I want you to go to this wrench here at the top left of the timeline. It's called Timeline Display Settings, and you're going to click that, and then you're going to go up here to where it says Show Audio Waveform, and you're going to make sure that that is selected. Okay, so now maybe you've got the waveforms showing up, and you're like, this is cool, but like, I don't know what these are. Fade that away. So these are just visual representations of what's going on with our audio here. And they work like a heart monitor. Okay, so right here, when the waveform is flat, that's where I'm not talking at all. So just like with a heart monitor, if somebody's heartbeat isn't beating, it's flat, except in Premiere, nobody's dead, so that's good. So if I play that back, you'll see that like there's no sound. I'm not talking, okay? But over here, you'll see we have like these nice up and downs. Okay, so this is where I'm talking and, you know, my voice is going up and down like you would when you're speaking. So I'll play that back so you can hear. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control real quick. Okay, and then right here where I'm, we've jumped across my screen. Okay, where we have these like double spikes that are real thin and tall, that's where I'm clapping. I'm not going to play those because I don't want to hurt anybody's ears if you have headphones on. But you might be wondering, like, why are you clapping while you're filming your A-roll, while you're or speaking shots, right? And the reason is I have a little trick that makes it easy when you are filming A-roll or you're filming speaking, so the editing doesn't take forever because we don't want it to take forever. Okay, so my trick is that I will clap one time if I have a bad take and I mess it up and I know like I'm not going to use this. And then I'll clap twice if I have a good take and then I know, awesome, that's definitely making the cut. And it makes it really easy to just look, okay, do I have one spike or two spikes after I'm talking and know where to cut? So obviously right here, we know like from here to here, this is our good take, right? So to trim that, what we could do is we could just drag in this clip here, boom. Now we have these gaps here, okay? So how are we gonna get rid of those? Very easy, you're just gonna click them and then delete, right? But if we are trimming a ton of clips, then I don't know, like we have all these gaps every single time. I feel like that's gonna get old. Is there any way that we can do this a little faster? There is. I'm going to introduce you to my friend over here in the tools panel. This is called the Ripple Edit tool. Now, if there is one tool that you remember in all of Premiere Pro, I want you to remember this one. And you'll see that the shortcut for the Ripple Edit tool is B. The reason that is B is because this tool is going to put you in beast mode, okay? Because it's going to make things so much faster where we don't have to delete those gaps. And I'll also show you it does something else cool. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to press I can press the B key or select the Ripple Edit tool. And then on my timeline, you'll see that if I drag this clip in, no gap. And everything else on my timeline, all these other clips are shifting over. So it's causing this ripple effect. So no matter what we do, everything's rippling. And then I also want you to notice, I'm going to go back here. I press the V key to get my selection tool again. So this is what we normally have. This is the default key. Let's say I want to extend this clip here. If I drag out, it's like, girl, you can't. No, we're at the end of the road. But if I go over and select my Ripple Edit tool, suddenly I have ultimate freedom to drag this out. And so that's why this tool is so powerful. The only downside to this tool is that I got to do a lot of dragging, okay? And, you know, I am an 80s kid. I don't have like the most brand new shoulder, you know, so like if I'm doing a ton of dragging, then that is going to hurt my shoulder after a while. And so if I could avoid dragging the mouse, I would love to do that. So I'm going to show you my absolute favorite way to trim clips. Okay, oh, you see that little pop-up that happened there? That is because Premiere has got our back. It is saving our project. Premiere is going to save your project automatically for you every 15 minutes. And you can go in and change that in the preferences. You know, if you're hyper paranoid, let's make it every 5 minutes or whatever. But that's so you're like not working on your project for 5 hours. You created this beautiful masterpiece and then the power goes out and you lose everything. So it's got your back. All right, now let's get back to my favorite way to trim clips. This is, like I said, the way I always use, and it is by using these two shortcut keys called the Q and the W key, which I love. They're right there under my left hand. Okay, so the way these keys work is you're gonna have a clip on your timeline, obviously, and you're gonna put your playhead where you want the clip to start. And then, so you want everything before the playhead to be cut off. Then you're just going to press the Q key and bam, it's done. And there's not gonna be any gaps, okay? On the other side, same thing. This is where we want the clip to end. So everything after the playhead, we want cut off. And so we're going to press the W key and boom, it's gonna be gone with no gaps. And so these are two like super powerful shortcut keys. So now let's go back to Premiere. Oh no, I'm sorry, y'all. Wasn't I gigantic? I meant to be over here. Could you see? Okay, so Q gets rid of the front and everything before the playhead, and then W, everything after the playhead, right? Okay, so we're going to go back to our timeline here, and I'll show you how these work. Actually, you know what? We're just going to start over. I'm just going to grab all of these speaking clips and show you how fast these are. All right? So right here, I'm going to put my playhead. I want it to start here. I know that because of the waveform. I'll press the Q key. Bye-bye. I know I want it to end here. W key. Then everything at the end's off. Q. W. I can tell this was my bad take because there's only one big spike here. So I know I want it to start here. Q, W, bad take, good take, Q, W, bye-bye. We are done with trimming our speaking shots. Like I didn't even have to listen to the audio because I look at the waveforms and that was lightning fast. And I also don't have to listen to all those times that I messed up because, oh no, my screen just went away, but I'm still here. Good. I don't want to listen to the times I messed up. That's going to waste my time, and it's also kind of traumatic, and so we've avoided the trauma. All right, so now let's see what else I want to tell you. I want to tell you a couple more things on this timeline before we leave. So there's one last tool down here. Okay, yeah. Right here, this tool is the razor tool. So you can imagine that you know, it's also called the cut tool. So it's going to cut our clips. So let's say you have like a long clip and you know you want to use something at the beginning and the end and you need to split it. You just click this razor tool or you can press the C key. And then I'll go back over here on the timeline and you'll see we can just cut those clips up. All right, the other thing I want you to know is let's say we want to delete this clip. To delete it, I'll just press the backspace key. Okay, cool. But then we have a gap, right? I don't want the gap. That means that I got to go in here and delete the gap. Every time I want to delete a clip, I got to delete the gap. That's double the work. Let's get rid of double the work, okay? We don't like to do extra work. So what we're going to do, let's say I want to delete this. I could right click it and then I could go to ripple delete. Okay, cool. There's no gap, but like I don't want to be going into this right click menu every single time, okay? So I have set a shortcut key. There is a shortcut key for ripple delete. I've set it to, of course, I want it under my left hand, and I've set it to something that's really easy to remember. So if you want to customize this like I've got it, you can go up into this Premiere Pro menu here, and then you're going to go to keyboard shortcuts. So Premiere Pro and keyboard shortcuts. And then we've got, you know, our keyboard shortcuts window. We're going to go back over to our search bar where we search for the command that we want to customize. We'll type in ripple delete. All right, so we've got that there, and then you're going to find it here in the menu, and then whatever key like is right here, you're just going to X that out, and you can put the X key. The X key under my left hand, very easy to remember for delete. So X to ripple delete. Then you're going to press OK. And now let's use our shortcut. Let's say I want to delete this clip right here. I'll press X. Boom, it's gone. Same thing here. X, boom, it's gone. And no gap to delete. We don't have to go in the right click menu. It's beautifully efficient, which I love. All right, so figure out what I want to tell you next. Oh, okay. Well, we've covered a lot. And so why don't we just review these really fast? So B is going to put you in beast mode. That gets you the ripple edit tool so you can drag the ends of your clip in and out with no gaps. C for the cut or the razor tool. V to get back to your pointy selection tool. And then we've got Q and W, my favorite shortcuts, to trim the front and the end of a clip before and after the playhead. And then X to ripple delete a clip. Okay. All right. So, oh yeah, and of course, keyboard shortcuts cheat sheet. If you want all those that I just reviewed, like I said, are in there, and that's in the recap guide that's linked down below, and you can check the timeline navigation section for that. Okay. Now, y'all, I just need to stop because I need to congratulate you at this point, because by this point you are halfway to being an expert in Premiere, because really we have covered a lot of the fundamentals of, what's going to make you a fast editor, right? So if you're excited about all that we just covered, and if you're excited about the rest of the webinar, I want you to let me know how hype you are. I want you to throw some celebration emojis, blow up that chat box. I want to see some balloons and some high fives and some party hats, because really y'all ought to be really proud of yourself for making it this far, but we ain't done yet. We got a lot more to cover. But before we move on, I know, like I said, we covered a lot. So let me know if you have any questions, or anything that you want me to repeat real fast or clarify. I can do that. Or give me some feedback on the pace. Like I said, there is a 15-second delay. So if you're just sitting there waiting, then let me know what you're looking forward to this year, because I know this has been a crazy time, hasn't it? Perfect speed. Okay, great. Oh, sweet. I'm glad you can hear me okay. Love the shortcuts. Yes. Hi, Kat. This webinar is going to be recorded, and it'll be up on this channel. The audio clip is linked to your video clip by default. Yes. And I think Adobe Care answered that. But if you don't want it, you can always right-click here, and then you can go to unlink. And now I can move this around. But it's nice to have it linked a lot of times if you have, you don't want to be out of sync, right? That's going to look weird. And so that's kind of why it's like that, but it's up to you. All right, cool. Yes, I am looking forward to going back east. I'm going to go visit my family. I haven't seen them in forever, since before the pandemic. So yeah, that is definitely what I'm looking forward to. All right, so let's get back into it. What we're going to do, I'm going to jump back. Let me show you my screen again. Okay, so again, we've made a hot mess while we're learning these things. That's okay. So for your speaking shots, if you've chopped them up and you don't know what's going on, just select all your speaking shots, delete them, and then you're going to press the up arrow. Okay, because that's going to take us right here where we want our next clips to be. And let's cheat a little bit on those speaking shots. You're going to go over to your project panel. You're going to select Speaking Shots Edited. Okay, the fourth bin, number 4, Speaking Shots Edited. And then let's drag that entire bin onto our timeline, and voila, things are already trimmed up. All right, I'm noticing what time it is. I want to make sure that we're covering everything in the time. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add, you can see, for example, I am talking for a long time, okay? And I know my face is cute, but I don't want to be just blabbering the whole time. I want to show some visuals to break this up, and we're also going to add some effects to these clips. So what I want you to do, if you're following along, we're going to go to the project panel, and then I'm going to double click on this bin called Final Shots. So you're going to go to, one more time, that 5th bin, Final Shots, and you're going to double click and open it up in a new tab. Okay, so I'll go to that tab, and then I'll put this in icon view so I can see things, and let me make this a little bigger. All right, so now I'm going to play some of these clips back so we know what they're about, because we didn't even listen to them, right? So here we go. Let's talk about video gear, because it can get out of control real quick. All right, so where I say it can get out of control real quick, I want to show some out of control gear. So I'm going to go right to the middle here. This is that second part of that line. Okay, and then you'll see this first clip here. We have got some out of control gear that's going everywhere. So what I want to do is I want this clip here to play back at normal speed, and then I want it to go backward in reverse at double speed. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to drag this track up so we can see, because we're about to drop this clip on track 2. So just take clip number 1 and then drag it on track 2. And you'll see now we can't see me because this clip is on top, right? Okay, so whatever clip is on a higher track covers up the lower track. Now what we're going to do is we want to duplicate this clip here, and we want to speed it up and reverse it. So a fast way to duplicate a clip is, I want you, if you're on a Mac, you're going to hold down the Option key. And if you're on a Windows computer, you're going to hold down the Alt key. Okay? And then you're going to keep holding that key down, Option or Alt, and then you're going to drag out to the right. And when we do that, you'll see, boom, we've got a duplicate. And I kind of think like, okay, I want to duplicate, I want to create another option for this clip, or I want to create an alternative version for this clip. So Option or Alt to duplicate. All right, so now to speed this clip up and reverse it, you're just going to right click, and then you're going to go, where are we going? Come on, Mary. Speed duration. Sorry, I always use a shortcut for this. So speed duration, okay? Yeah. Now when we do that, I've got a pop-up. It's come up on my other monitor, so I'm going to drag it over here. This is pretty explanatory, self-explanatory, these settings. So for the speed, let's just jack this up to double speed. So we'll put it at 200%. And then I'll check this reverse speed box, and boom, that's all we need to do. So now let me play this back, and I'll show you what it looks like. I'll just drag this back. This is right on the seam. Let's talk about video gear, because it can get out of control real quick. Yes, we are so talented. Okay, let's move on to the next clip here. The last thing you need when you're on a deadline is to be scrambling around trying to find some piece of gear. Ain't that the truth? Okay, so when I say scrambling around trying to find some piece of gear, I'm going to show this clip of my partner and me. We are scrambling around, and then I'm going to show my partner trying to find some piece of gear. So you're just going to shift click clip number 2 and 3 in these final shots, and then we're going to drag them right here on a track 2. All right. Now after that, I want to add a couple insert shots. I want to insert some shots here of my partner and me speaking that kind of go along with this clip. So first, I'm going to press the down arrow and get right here on the seam here where I want to insert these. All right. And now we're going to click shot number 4. I'll play it back in the source panel with audio.
How does this stuff just disappear?
And then I want to do this one. Like, where does it even go? Where does it go? All right. Then you're going to shift click number 4 and 5, shot number 4 and 5. And then we're going to press the comma key, because remember the comma key is going to insert whatever clips are selected over here in the project panel. And it's going to insert it right after that playhead, which is what we just did. Okay. The other way to insert clips, I'll select these and press the X key to ripple delete, is we can press, if you're on a Mac, you're going to press Command, or if you're on a Windows, you're going to press Control, okay? And when you press those and you hold them down, Command or Control, and then you drag on your timeline, you see we have these little right triangles, and that is going to also insert. So it's like I'm commanding you to move the rest of the timeline down, or we're going to control the rest of the timeline, okay, and insert it on. All right, now we're going to go and play that back and see and hear what it sounds like. The last thing you need when you're on a deadline is to be scrambling around trying to find some piece of gear.
How does this stuff just disappear?
Like, where does it even go? My gosh, y'all, are we talented or what? We are so good. Okay, so now I'm going to skip to this last clip. This one right here, I'm just saying like, yo, this is about gear organization tips. And then I'm giving the first organization tip right here. Tip number 1 is to use these wall hangers for your grip equipment. Okay, so if I were watching this back, I would be like, what wall hangers? I have no idea what she's talking about. And so I want to show those wall hangers. And so we're going to go to shot number 6. Shot number 6 called grip hangers. And you'll see here they are. These are actually guitar hangers, but I was like, no, you have a different purpose in life. So we're going to take this shot and we're just going to drag it onto track 2. I'm going to press the T key to take me to that clip and zoom in, because I think, yep, look at this. We're hanging over the edge. Not acceptable. Okay, so now, I don't want my whole face covered up for this shot. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to create like a little split screen situation. Okay, so I want to split the screen in two and have me over here and these wall hooks on the other side. And so what that means is I need to crop this shot so that like only this is showing. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over to this right side where it needs to be. Okay, so to do that, to move a clip or to transform it, all I need to do is I'm going to go to this program panel here, and I'm going to double click on this clip and look at this. We have this little frame around our clip, and now we can scale it. We can go hover our mouse near the corner and rotate it. I can move it all around. All right, so super easy, like you're working in Photoshop or whatever. But what I want to do is I want to scoot it to the right side, and you'll notice if I start doing that, then it's kind of hard to keep it lined up. And so I'm going to start moving it to the right, and as soon as I do that, I'm going to press the shift key. And that's going to make sure that it only shifts from the right to left and not up and down. If I started moving vertical first and press a shift, then it would do the opposite. Okay, so I'm going to move it to the right, press the shift key, and let's put this right here. Okay, now let's do that with me. I'm going to double click this clip of me on this other side, move to the left, press the shift key, and I should be right about there. Okay, cool. But obviously, this is not going to work, right? Because I'm covered up. And so now what we need to do still is crop this shot. And so to do that, we're going to need to use a crop effect. And to get that crop effect, we're going to need to pull up a panel that is specifically for effects. And so we're going to go up to the window menu here. And then I'm going to pick effects. Effects is where the effects panel is where you find effects, believe it or not. Okay, so we pull that up, and now you'll see your effects panel. It might have popped up somewhere else, but you can drag it wherever you want, like I was showing you earlier. Just pop it anywhere. All right, y'all, this is like a goodie drawer. All right, we're gonna find all sorts of effects that we can add to our clips. So in our case, we're gonna type in the search bar crop. Now, I've got some of my own crop presets here. You're not going to see these, but what you want is this one down here. This is the default crop effect. And to add this crop effect, I'm just going to drag it onto my clip here, and bam, it's been added. But, okay, nothing's happened. So how do we make this work? To control the settings for an effect that you add to a clip, you're going to need another panel that is called, we're going to go to the window menu. It is called Effect Controls. Okay, so you're going to select that window menu and then Effect Controls, and then you'll see here's our other panel, and whatever clips or whatever effects we've added to a clip, we're going to see them show up here. But we have to have that clip selected on the timeline. You'll see if we have nothing selected, nothing is showing up here. But when I click this clip, you'll see here it is. Okay, so now with that panel, we can adjust this crop effect. What I love, though, about this effect is I can click it here, and then I can adjust it in the program panel, which is super easy. Cute. All right, so now let's play this back and see what it looks like. Tip number 1 is to use these wall hangers for your grip equipment. How adorable. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is fire, straight up fire. We are so talented. All right, so we have got all of the visuals done on our timeline here, and now I want to check in and make sure that y'all are feeling okay. If you've got any questions, you're doing well. Great tricks, yes. I love tricks and getting some efficiency in this edit. What's up, Skip, in the East? Hey. Oh, thank you for the feedback. Awesome teacher for your second live event. I really appreciate that. The writing app I'm using is ScreenBrush for Mac. Hi, David, thank you. Somebody's talking about some pancakes. Oh, I think that's what you're looking forward to. Yeah, I don't blame you. And we got a lot of dancing and celebration. Oh, yay. Okay, yes. Let's keep the hypeness going. All right, so now let's talk about what's up next. We've got all of these beautiful visuals. So we want to talk about how we're going to polish them up and make them look good. And so next up, we're going to be adjusting the color on them, and color can make a massive difference. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go in my timeline, and you see how we got our program panel over here. I'm just going to drag it over here and cover up the source panel. I don't want to be looking at source footage anymore. I just want to see me and get the color on me, right? Because right now I feel like I'm looking a little dull and flat, and we need me to be popping, okay? So we're going to go up here to the window menu and grab a panel that's going to help us with color. So we're going to go here, and then we're going to go down to Lumetri Color. That is our color panel, Lumetri Color. Okay, so we pull that up, and let me tell you what is happening here. So over in this panel, we have different sections here, and each one of these sections you can click it and you'll see different settings, okay? And the way they work is like up here, we've got these panels are kind of easier and more obvious to work with. You'll see some things that you might see on Instagram, and then things are going to get really complex. Not too complex, but basically they're going to give you a lot of power and precise control, but a little bit more of a learning curve. And so like, you know, you can always learn those later, right? And that's what I love about Premiere is, you know, you can use it really simply, but then it lets you scale up your skills, you know, and the possibilities are limitless. So for now, if you just want to stay up, you know, in these top 2 sections and just live your best life, then go ahead, because you can do a lot of stuff here. All right, so what we're going to do then, I'm going to show you that whatever clip that I have selected here on my timeline, we'll go to this first basic correction section. This is the one, like when we adjust the settings over here, it's going to be adjusting that clip, right? So easy enough. So you'll also notice down here, we've got an auto button. And when I click that, just like any auto button, sometimes it does a great job. And then sometimes, like, I think this is a little bright, but that's looking pretty good. Like a big improvement you'll see before and after, okay? But what I'm going to do, if the auto button is not working for you, you can always press this reset button. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. Maybe I'll just boost these highlights. And then I'll just lower the shadows a little bit and give this a little bit of contrast. All right, that's looking good for now, because I'm also going to go down to the second section and make things pop in a little bit. So we're going to go to this creative section now, and you'll notice that we've got basically this is the Instagram filters section, right? Except in Premiere, they are called creative looks. And to preview those looks, we can just click this right arrow here, and this is going to show us what the look is going to look like if this look were like at 100% intensity, but we can dial that back later. And so we're going to go, I found a look earlier that I like. We're going to go to SL Big LDR, okay? And you're going to click that. Actually, you're going to double click that. I lied. So you're going to double click that, and then bam, you'll see it's applied. Now, this is a little too poppin', and so let's bring that down to about, I don't know, 35, 40%. Cute. And now you'll see, I'm going to go up here and press this button. This button right here, FX, is how we turn off and on effects. And you'll see that we also have it here in this effect controls panel. I could turn on and off effects here if I wanted. So I'll show you, like, I'll select this here where we had the crop effect, right? And then I'll go to effect controls. And you'll see I've got this FX button. And so I'll turn it off and on, right? But I'm going to go back to the shot where we were correcting the color. I'm going to go back over to Lumetri Color. And then you'll see before and hey, the after. This is looking much better. Okay, so now I love the color on the shot. Now, what I want to do is, obviously, I want it on like all of these speaking shots, right? And whenever the Lumetri Color panel is open, remember I said whatever like clip is selected, that's the one that we're going to be able to adjust the settings for. And you'll notice when that panel is open, Premiere is automatically selecting the clips on our timeline that are right after the playhead. And that's because it's trying to make things easy for you. So you don't have to click and select the clip that, you know, you're working on to correct the color every time. And ideally, we'd want to go through each one of these clips because, you know, we had a bazillion-dollar budget and a team full of colorists who were going to customize the color settings for every single shot. But let's just say we're on a budget and we don't have that kind of time. And we just say, okay, you know, we love the settings for this clip. Let's just apply them across the timeline. So in order to do that, it is really, really easy. We're going to go back up into our Lumetri Color panel. We're going to go to this little hamburger menu here. And then we're going to go to Save Preset. And that's going to kind of have all the settings that are going to be like preset for us, so we don't have to set them up every time. So when we click that, and then I'll click OK. Okay, now what? Where is our preset? Well, we're going to find that in the effects panel. So this is where we searched for that crop effect earlier. Now we're just going to search for gear organization. Here it is. Bam. Don't even have to type it in all the way. And there is our preset. So now what we want to do is we're going to press the R key to retreat back out on our timeline. And then I'm just going to select all of these clips, but then I'm going to shift click and I'm going to deselect that clip that we've already done the color on because I don't want to double it up. I don't want to be too popping. And now we're going to go and take our preset and then just drag it onto all these other clips and bam, the color is done across our timeline. So that was super, super fast. Okay, so now that we're looking good, next up, I want to do some titles and graphics, okay? I love design. So when you add titles and graphics, it can really make your video look a lot fancier and like really polished. And so we're going to do that. And there are a lot of ways to do that in Premiere. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to pull up another panel that's going to help us with our graphics. And, you know, I was saying earlier, like we've got these workspaces up here. And I'm not using those because it's going to pull up maybe a few other panels that we're not going to get into for each of those stages of our edit. And maybe it rearranges some things, but I want to keep it simple for now. But you can definitely go through and explore these if you want. But for right now, we're just going to go to the window menu and we're going to pull up a panel that's going to help us with our graphics. That panel is called the Essential Graphics panel. So you're going to go to Window and then Essential Graphics. And again, your Essential Graphics panel may be popping up somewhere else. That's cool. All right, let me tell you how this panel works. In this panel, we have some tabs right here. So we have a Browse tab and an Edit tab. The Browse tab is, well, actually it's taken a little bit to load because remember I was saying titles and graphics can be fancy. So here's our fancy stuff. Okay, so this is where we're going to find templates that we're going to use in our project. And you see, this is my templates. These are the ones that like I use in a lot of my projects, but we can also find new templates. And so we can go like to this Adobe stock option here. And then this is like a marketplace of a bunch of different templates. And now these templates here, most of these are motion graphic templates. And that is really cool because you can use them and like you don't have to have any motion graphics skills to use these templates. You'll also often hear these templates, they'll be called MOGRTs for short, which is like one of the funnest acronyms to say. But what I love, yeah, you don't have to have any of these fancy motion graphic skills to use them in your timeline and then to make it look like you have those skills, right? So we're going to install one of these in a second, but for now, I want to tell you about this other tab here that we've got. So we got the Browse tab, right? That's where we find templates. The Edit tab, though, is where we're going to create graphics and titles from scratch. Now, we can still do motion graphics, and we can still get really fancy here, or we can keep it simple. So we're going to do that for now. So first, let's talk about where we're going to add a title. Remember, this is the intro for a video that's going to go on YouTube. So that means I want to be able to put a teaser for this video on social media and then tell everybody at the end, go watch the rest on YouTube. And so they're going to need my channel deets. So at the very end of your timeline, we'll press the up arrow so that we're right here, so that whatever we add is going to go right here after the playhead. And then now, what are we doing? Oh yeah, we're going to go and get a new tool that's going to help us create a title. So we're going to go over to this toolbar, and I'm going to click this T here. This is our type tool. Premiere's got our back, auto-saving our project. Thank you, Premiere. So I'm going to click this type tool, and then all I got to do is go up in the program panel and click and start typing my little heart out. Okay, except obviously we can't have our title be saying that, so we're going to say watch more at. And now I'll go back to my selection tool here, and let's edit this title to be a little bit more my style. So you'll see we got all these settings over here that we can adjust. I'm going to change the font, and I'll change it to something a little more stylish. And then you'll see I can just adjust and put this wherever I want, right? Now, I want you also to notice that when we added this title here, Premiere has automatically added a little clip on our timeline for us. this clip right here is a graphics clip. And what I love about graphics clips is we can put like multiple titles, multiple graphics, multiple layers into this one clip. And then, it's not like they are stacking up like to the ceiling on our timeline, because that's messy. We don't want that. And so it keeps things neat and tidy. So to create another title inside this graphics clip, we could go back, get our type tool again. We could just click that and then click in the program panel and type. Another thing that we could do is we could go up to this essential graphics panel, and you'll see this little icon here that looks like a new, we're turning the page to a new page. This is our new layer menu, and so we can click that. I think I deselected my clip here. We want to make sure we have that clip selected so that it gets added to the same clip. I'll click that, and then I'll go to text to create a new text layer. I could create a rectangle, or I could import an image, but we're going to create a new text layer. And now I'm going to say youtube.com/Mary Betsy. All right, let me adjust this just a little bit. We'll make this a little bolder so people know what's up. And now I'll go back to my selection tool here. And then I'll just put this over here, and ain't she cute? Okay. So that's how you create a simple title in Premiere. Like I said, we could go up here, we could make this fancy, we could add shape layers. I could adjust the color for those shape layers. I could move them around. You'll see we've got this layer pane up here. So these are like all the layers that are in this clip. And then whatever layer we've got selected here, that's what, we're going to see settings down here that we can adjust for that layer, and it depends on what kind of layer it is, what settings you get. And then I can also drag this layer down, and you'll see now this layer is underneath our text, or I can drag it up here to be on top, and so you got lots of options. But for now, we're going to keep this really simple. And now we're going to go over to that other tab that we had up here, the Browse tab, and we're going to add something to our timeline from here. Okay, so what I want to do is, you remember this clip right here is where I'm introducing the first tip. Right before that, I want to kind of create a transition, and so that is where I'm going to add one of these templates to create like a little section divider to introduce this. So I want you to go to your Essential Graphics panel, and right here in the search bar, you are going to type in retro and press enter. Oh, let me just point out this beautiful box here, the free box. You can check the free box, because let's say we're on a budget. And if you don't see this pop up, I want to use this cat here, obviously, okay? Because I'm feeling drawn to this cat spiritually. So you can type in Retro Media UI Window Title. That's the full title. All right, so we're going to click this. And now to add it to our timeline, I could drag and drop, but I want to insert it. And so to insert this, remember, we're going to hold down the Command key if you're on Mac, or Control key if you're on Windows. So hold down Command or Control, and then start dragging, and then we get those little arrows on our timeline, and that is going to insert this clip. All right, it's going to take a second to load, because remember, this is a fancy motion graphic clip, so give Premiere a second. All right, now, unfortunately, our cat has gone away. That's okay, because we're going to replace the media, and I want you to just see, I'm going to drag this playhead through the timeline. Look at that motion graphic. It is adorable, and we didn't have to do anything to learn it. So now I'm going to click this clip in my timeline, and then automatically over here in Essential Graphics, things have changed from the Browse tab, and we've gone over to the Edit tab. And here you'll see we have all these settings that we can adjust. And remember, the motion graphic templates that we were looking at earlier, those are in a marketplace. And so they're created by a bunch of different creators. And so what settings that you get here in this Edit tab, it's all going to depend on who the creator was and how many settings they wanted to give you, whether they want to give you a lot of control or they didn't want to overwhelm you because, you don't know motion graphics or whatever. They just want to keep it simple. So keep that in mind. But in this case, we got a lot of settings, which I love. And so what we're going to do is let's start by replacing the image in this window. So we're going to go to Media Replacement. And then we're replacing the media in the window. So you're going to see we've got this placeholder here. And just to replace the media here, all we have to do is you're going to go over into your project panel. You're going to find this last shot here, Mogurt Media, where I've got this clip of the wall hangers. And you're going to take that clip number 7, and you're just going to drag and drop it onto your placeholder, and bam, things have been replaced. So this is looking really good. All right, and now for this text here, it says, who is this? Why don't we put the title of this section? So we'll go back over to Essential Graphics. I'll go to text controls, I'll go to text one, and I'll call this grip wall hangers. And when I type that in, then it's automatically been replaced up here, grip wall hangers. Okay, and then lastly, we need to deal with this background because this ain't cute. And so we're gonna go back over here to our settings, and then I'll go to background controls, and let's go to background style. I don't want this to be an image. I actually want this to be a solid color, but okay, that is really bright. So let's dial that back a little bit. I'll go to color controls, I'll go to background colors, and then let's make this something that is a little more subtle. And I think that is looking good. All right, awesome. So now that this clip is done, let's just play this a little bit. He puts it back there. I think this is where this clip should end. And so, of course, if I want to go down here and I want to trim everything off after the playhead, then I'm going to click our shortcut key for that, which is the W key. And bam, it's gone. No gaps. So that is how we add titles and graphics. You have so many options. You don't have to have all the skills in the world for things to look really impressive. And so now that we're done with that, I just want to check in real fast and see how is everybody doing. I know it's been a while and we have a little bit more to get through, so I do want to show you audio and then we're going to export our video. But if anybody wants me to repeat anything or you're feeling like you have any questions, then let me know. Oh, awesome. Okay. Looks like everybody is doing well, but I'll wait just a second because I know there's a little bit of a delay. Y'all let me know if you're just sitting around there waiting. What else do you want to learn in Premiere? I'd be curious because, you know, we're going to correct audio and then we're going to do exporting. But if there's anything else you want to learn in Premiere, I'd be interested to know. So I'm always curious how people are using this program. And I'm going to just see if anybody else. I think motion graphics was one of the things that I always wanted to learn. And I'm really excited that there's so many options to do it in Premiere and to create these titles and graphics. All right, I feel like everybody is doing okay. All right, so now, yeah, so fun. Okay, good. I'm glad you're having a blast. I am having fun too. Like I said, it's been a lot learning this live stuff, but I've really enjoyed it. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the screen and we're gonna go to audio and exporting. All right, so let's talk about audio. Like everything else, when we get kind of to a new stage in our edit, we want to pull up a panel that's gonna help us with audio. So we're gonna go up to the window menu and then we're going to go to Essential Sound. So go to Window and then Essential Sound. All right, in this menu, we've got this panel here. We've got kind of a similar situation, right? So we've got like a Browse tab and an Edit tab, right? So in the Browse tab, this is where we're gonna find stuff that we're gonna add to our timeline. So this is where we're gonna find music, and we've got all sorts of filters, and this music is from Adobe stock. Unfortunately, there's no free box here, but if you don't have a membership with Adobe stock, you could do a trial and they will give you 10 free songs, and the music on here is really good and it's super seamless to add to your timeline from here because it's all within Premiere Pro, so I'll show you that in a second. And then the second tab here we've got is the Edit tab, and just like before, this is how we're going to be editing clips on our timeline. All right, so first what we want to do, you know, we've got some speaking audio here and we want to make sure that it sounds really good. And so what I want you to do is I want you to select all of the speaking audio down here. And then the first thing that's going to happen over in this Edit tab is Premiere's going to tell us to assign a tag. Now, what does that mean? So that just means like we're going to tell Premiere what kind of audio this is, and then Premiere's going to give us settings to adjust based on whatever audio we select. So we're going to select dialogue because this is speaking audio. And then once we get in here, again, we've got different sections with different settings that we can adjust. But what I like to do is just go up to this preset menu because Premiere makes things really easy. It's already got presets for us. It's done the settings. And I like to go down to this last option here called podcast voice. And this sounds really good if you're speaking into a mic and you just want to make it sound, you know, like you're coming through the radio or on a podcast. So we'll click that, and then you'll notice down here, Premiere is going to automatically adjust these settings for us, which is really convenient. And so if we didn't like that though, we could manually adjust these settings. So one thing we could do with, you know, right now we've got all this different audio selected here, and like some of it, you know, I was using a different mic here. You'll see Miles has like a little lav mic here, but then, you know, for these shots, I had a mic that was like up here above my head. And so sometimes, your audio might be different volumes, right? It might have a different loudness level. And who has ever heard an infomercial where things are like super loud all of a sudden? It is really annoying when the volume changes. And so what we can do is we can press this button here. It's going to automatically match the clips to a standard average loudness. So it's leveling everything out. Love this. Such a time saver. Okay. And then down here, we've got repair filters. So let's say, you had some background noise that you didn't want, like maybe a fan was running in the background and cramping your style. You could go through these, you could check them, and then you can adjust here. And the other thing is Premiere will give you these nice little like reminders. It'll kind of tell you what each one is doing if you're not familiar with audio. Oh yeah, I have something I'm supposed to go over. I had it in my notes. Let me go. I'm just going to hop over to the side of the screen so that I'm not covering things up here. Okay, so now I do want to tell you about these though real fast. I just want you to listen. I'm going to uncheck this. Let me go back to normal. So I don't have any repair filters on right now. So we'll listen back. And so in this video, I'm going to show you 6 ways. All right, and now let me go back and then I'm going to put on one of these repair filters. We'll reduce some noise in the background. Let me just jack it up. And so in this video, I'm going to show you 6 ways. It can kind of make you sound a little muffled once you start jacking it up way too fast. And so just kind of be careful about that. You want to use a delicate hand with those, right? And then if there's some audio that we don't want, just go over here. We'll put this back on podcast because that's what sounds good. If there's some audio that we don't want and we want to mute some audio, we can go down here to the bottom and you'll see we've got a mute button, or we can adjust the volume manually if we want. We can also, whenever there's a slider in Premiere, if you double click, it's going to reset it back to the center. Okay, so beautiful. Now I sound like I am on a podcast on this video. So what we want to do is we want to add some music. All right, so to do that, I'm going to press, actually I'm just going to drag this playhead here and bring it back to the beginning. We want our music to start at the beginning. All right, so we're going to go back to the Essential Sound panel here, and then I'm going to go to the Browse tab, and we're going to browse for some music. I like hip hop, so I'm just going to type that in here. I found this song here called Urban Background Hip Hop that I love, and now I want to show you what happens when I preview this. You can see that it's automatically playing our timeline. So we can really see, like, is this vibing with our visuals? And I love this because if you don't have this built-in feature, because this is basically, whenever this box down here is checked, then that means that wherever your playhead is, it's going to start playing the timeline when you preview this music, which makes it easy to decide, because otherwise you got to go on a music site and you have to download a music file. It's going to have this watermark on it where somebody every 3 seconds is saying, like, stock music website, over and over and over again. It's like impossible to even hear the song and assess whether it's working. You got to import it into Premiere. You got to drag it on your timeline. You got to do that for every single song that you're even considering using. And so this is such a time saver. All right, so now to add this to our timeline, all we have to do is we're going to drag it onto our timeline. We're not going to drag it on track 2 and cover up our speaking. Or on track 1. We're going to drag it on audio track 2, and bam, it's added. All right, and I know you're probably like, look, I heard you earlier. You said this wasn't free. So I am not going to drag this to my timeline. Don't worry, you can still drag it to your timeline. It's not going to license anything, okay? Nothing, no coins are coming out of your pocket, because Adobe wants to make sure that before you license this song, you really love it. It's going to let you edit it. You can even export this video. It's not going to have, this isn't like the highest quality music track. That happens after you license it, but Adobe wants you to be able to send it to your team members so they can say, yes, Mary, this is a great song, or Mary, ew, what were you thinking? But you definitely, then you want to license it like before you put it on YouTube or social media or whatever, so that, you get your high quality track and then you're not like stepping on anyone's copyright. But when you're ready to do that, let's say you're ready to take the plunge and commit, you can just right click this song and then you can go up here to license, and that will formally license. But we're not going to do that right now. We want to test this out and see if we like it. I'm going to press the T key to zoom in, take me to that clip. All right, and then I'll press the up arrow to go to the beginning. All right, we're going to look at this waveform here for this audio, this music track, and I want you to notice that at the very beginning, Remember when I said the waveform is flat, that means it's quiet, and we'll hear that. So I don't want that. I want it to start like right at the very beginning, okay? So I'm going to press the C key. Remember, the C key is going to give me that cut or razor tool, and then I'm just going to cut this off. I'll delete the beginning where it's silent so that the music starts right at the beginning. All right. Another thing I want to point out is, remember I was saying, okay, you clap and then you get the spike in your waveform, right? So you can see that we have a spike right here. All right. We have another spike right here. Those spikes will happen in a song where there are beats in a song. And so when I'm cutting, you know, I want the cut to happen wherever there is a beat in the song. And you can see that is what I'm doing to make sure that my visuals are working in tandem with my music. And so I'm going to play this back for you so that you can hear and see that. Everything's working together. This is sounding great. Now, if we go over here to where we've got my speaking audio, though, things are not going to sound so great. Let's talk about video gear, because it can get out of control real quick. I'm sorry, what? Like, I can't hear anything that I'm saying because the music is so loud. And so what I could do is I could click this music clip. I could go over to Essential Sound. I'll go to the Edit tab to edit this music. And of course, Premiere is first asking us, like, what kind of music is this? So we'll press Music. And then now, remember, it's too loud here. So why don't we go down here and we could lower the volume, okay? Another way we could lower the volume is, you'll notice on the timeline here, we have this line. And if I hover my mouse over it, it says volume level. Right now, it's like default 0 decibels, but we could bump it up or we could bump it down. So we're going to drag this down because, you know, it's too loud here. And now let's talk about video gear, because it can get, okay, that sounds better. We can hear me, but if we go back to the beginning of our timeline, then you're going to notice it's too quiet. You know, so I just don't think that's going to make anybody hype about this video when they're watching it in the beginning. Like, I really want things to be thumping. And so what I really want to happen here is, like, I want, you know, the music, basically I want it to be loud and like normal here. And then whenever we get to these dialogue clips, I want it to fade down and be a lot lower. So that's the situation I want. That is something you used to have to do manually, but Premiere has this feature now that is, it makes it so easy to, it'll automatically do all the work for you, which I love. All right. So like I said, we want this music to get lower under these speaking clips. So we kind of want it to duck under the speaking clips. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go over to Essential Sound, and you'll notice we've got this ducking section. So we're going to check that. And then we're going to tell Premiere, look, I want you to duck this music down or lower the volume against dialogue clips. So any clips that I marked as dialogue. Okay. So you're going to make sure that's checked. And then you're just going to click this button at the bottom. And now I want you to notice what Premiere has done for us. It has done all the heavy lifting for us, because you can see that our music is loud and then it's fading down, okay? And it's doing that wherever we've got speaking. So I'll play that back. Let's talk about video gear, because it can get out of control real quick, right? And so that sounds much better. I do think it faded out maybe a little too early, so I'll just scoot this over right here. Let's talk about video. Cool. So like I said, you can go, you got these little dots here that we can adjust to, and we can shift click and just scoot them over wherever we want. And I'm holding down the shift key so that they don't accidentally go up or down. All right. Now we got one more thing left to do with our audio here, because you will notice that at the end here of our song, like, okay, this just like keeps going and going and going and going, and we've got no visuals up here, right? And so what we want to do is we want to cut off the edge of the song, or the end of the song, right? To do that, you can go over and grab your razor tool, or you can press the C key for cut. We'll make a cut right here, and then we'll delete this by pressing the backspace key. Maybe I'll drag this out a little bit. And now I want to do the same situation where things are like fading here, but I want to do that at the end so that this fades down. You know, we don't want this music to like suddenly just stop here. So what we're going to do is grab our final tool, and that's, I need to stay zoomed in here, is this pen tool here. You can also get to the pen tool by pressing the P key. And what we're going to be able to do with this pen tool, press the H key real fast and scoot this over, is we can add points to this line. So when we hover the pen tool over this line, you'll see we get a little plus symbol. Gradually and get to 0. Cool. Okay, so y'all, we're done. We are done. I think we're done with our audio and we're done with this entire video, which is super, super exciting. And so now what I want to do is I want to play this entire thing back. So obviously we can like admire our work that we've done. And so I want this to be like a full theater experience when we play this back. And to do that, I want to make this program panel really, really big, which I could do by like dragging all the edges, but I don't want to do that. That's going to take forever. And so instead I'm going to press a key that is, I want you to look at your keyboard right now and you'll see this key right up here. You should have one like at the top left and it's going to look like, oops, a key, but I call it the squiggle key. Okay, so you're going to look for that. When you press that key, watch what happens. I'm going to have this program panel selected. I'll press squiggle and now it's maximized. Squiggle again, it's minimized. Okay, and I could do that for any panel in Premiere just by clicking it and pressing the squiggle key. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the beginning of my timeline and I'm going to press the squiggle key on the program panel. We'll watch this all the way back. Let's talk about video gear because it can get out of control real quick. The last thing you need when you're on a deadline is to keep your video gear organized and your sanity intact. All right, let's go. Tip number 1 is to use these wall hangers for your grip equipment. Oh my gosh. Can I just say, like, that is so cute, and obviously it's apparent. Like, we can't, it would be cruel if we don't just go ahead and upload this to the internet because the world needs to see this. And so we really need to get this on there ASAP. And so the last step in our video is we need to export it. Okay, so we got to get it out of Premiere so that we can share it with everybody. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And we're going to do that in a couple sizes because remember, like, widescreen is what our video is now. That's going to look great on YouTube. But most people hold their phones like this vertically. And so when you put a widescreen video, it's going to be like taking up this much of the screen. And so we want to make it take up a little more. We're going to do a square video. You could also do vertical. So I'm going to show you how to resize your videos and export them really, really easily. So we're going to go back to Premiere and I'll press the squiggle key again. Remember, it looks like this, top of your keyboard. And when I do that, minimize the panel. Cool, sweet. All right, so we're going to go over to our project panel and I'm going to close out this panel here. Okay, and then I want you to go into this search bar here. I want you to type in sequence. Okay, when we type in sequence, I want you to notice there's this asset here, this asset right here. Okay, and it has like this little icon. This icon, if you look, it looks kind of like a timeline, right? We've got different tracks and we've got our little playhead. And so this right here, you'll see if I click it, I get a preview up here. And if I go through this preview, you will notice this is all of the clips in our timeline right now, okay? So this right here is our sequence and it represents what is on our timeline. Now, how did this get here? So whenever we first dragged that piece of footage onto the timeline, Premiere automatically created this sequence for us. And it just named it like whatever the first shot, I think Speaking Shots must have been the first folder that I dragged on there. So it just named it that and dumped it in this footage folder. But we want to stay organized. And so what we're going to do, we're going to drag it out. Let's just rename this and we'll call this Gear Organization Tips. And I'm going to right click here. I'm going to create a new bin or new folder. And I'm going to call this Sequences. We want to stay organized in our Office and also in Premiere. Okay, cool. So now what we want to do with this widescreen video is we want to duplicate it and resize it. That is very easy in Premiere using a new feature. We're going to right click this sequence, and then we're going to go down to this beautiful option here that is called Auto Reframe Sequence. Okay, so right click and then go to Auto Reframe Sequence. When we do that, we're going to get a settings window. All right, so let's talk about what we're seeing here. Okay, so now we've got, first we're going to pick a size. Very easy. We know that we want this to be a square video, but you'll see we've got all sorts of sizes that we could pick. Okay, then we can pick a name, but Premiere, thank you. You've already made this very easy for me. I will just take that name. And then here, you'll see we've got options for motion tracking. This is really, really cool. This is like magic. So basically, right now, we've got a sequence that is widescreen. No, can you stay there for just a second? Thank you very much. Okay, so we've got a sequence that's widescreen. And then let's say we have this subject here. And we know that like our video, when it becomes square, it's going to be cut like this, you know? And so this is going to get cut off and this is going to cut off. But then if our subject is like moving all around the frame, sometimes they're going to be out of our square video and sometimes they're going to be in it. And then the cool part is that, I'll put this up here for a second. Premiere is really, really smart because it is actually going to track the motion of our subject. So wherever they are in the frame, it's going to move the square frame that we're creating to make sure that our subject stays in frame, which I know like computers and algorithms and technology is amazing what they can do. And so in order to help Premiere track the motion of our subject the best that it can, we're going to go here and we're going to tell Premiere what kind of motion we have. So we don't have super speedy motion. We have slow motion where our gimbal is like gliding and then we're all just staying still. So we're going to pick that. And then for this option, don't worry about this. Let's just leave this on the default for now. And then we're going to go down here to create. Cool. Now, watch. See if I can get down here fast enough. Nope, we're on another screen. Never mind. But you see this blue down here at the bottom? That is Premiere. It's like doing all this calculating. Okay, so, oh, I'm covering that up a little bit. But anyways, it's basically doing all the work to reframe everything for us. Okay, so in this sequence, for example, this is our widescreen sequence, right? So I'm going to go to this clip here where I'm talking on the floor. And you'll notice, like, if I was cropping this normally, it would be right here. Okay. And so, like, you know how sometimes you have a wide, like, photo on Instagram and then it goes in your feed and, like, you're kind of off the edge. And so this is how this would be normally. But if we go over to our other sequence that Premiere just made for us that is in square format, and I go back to that shot, then hey, you know, like I'm centered up. And Premiere did that. And it did that for all of these clips across this timeline, right? And so that is super, super easy because I know how you used to manually have to do this, and they just came out with this feature recently. And when I first heard like, okay, you're going to automatically reframe things and keep the subject in the center, I was like, okay, Premiere, giving it a little bit of side eye, but then I tested it out and I was like, okay, Premiere, I see you, like, because it really, really works, especially if you have faces in your shot. Now, of course, exactly what your subject is a little subjective, and so like right here, Premiere is thinking that, you know, this art on the wall is our subject, which, you know, I don't blame it. The art's cute, but like I kind of want to see a little bit more of the room, and so let's say you need to tweak something after it's been automatically reframed. You can click the clip and then you can go over to your effects panel because the effect controls. This auto reframe is actually an effect. Okay, so that's what we just added. And then to adjust the settings for that effect, we're going to do that. We're going to control those settings in the effect controls panel. Okay, so now you'll see this one setting here under auto reframe that's called reframe offset. And then we can just drag this first number to the side. The second number would be vertically, but we don't want to do that. And now let me just drag this over so that we've got a little bit more of the room in the shot. Okay, cute. And so I could do that and I could tweak this for any other shots, you know, that like I wanted to, but like I said, most of the time it's very impressive how well this feature does. All right, so now the other thing I want you to notice is over here in the project panel, okay, I'm going to X No, I'm going to leave that. So you'll see here's our new sequence that Premiere created. And I can just drag this into a sequences bin and keep this organized. And then you'll see down here on the timeline, we've got both of these sequences open at once. Okay, so we can have, like if I X these out, you know, we could just, whenever we double click a sequence here, it's going to open up in the timeline. And we can have multiple sequences, like as many as your computer can handle, open at once. We can copy and paste between those sequences. And so super powerful. It's not like you're just limited to one timeline in this program. But for now, we want to export these, right? So whatever sequence we have clicked here on top, that is the one that's going to export. So we'll just start with this first one, the square one. To export this sequence, to export this sequence, we're going to go up here to the File menu. And then we're going to go down to Export right here. And then we're going to go to Media. So File, Export, Media. When we do that, we're going to get this settings window here. And I know this has all the things. There's so many settings, but don't worry, we're going to make it easy. So on this side, this is where we're going to be deciding how much of our video we want to be exported. Okay, so down here at the bottom, for example, we have these little sliders. And so like if we just wanted to have an excerpt of our video, we could drag these in and we could move this mini, tiny, adorable little playhead left and right. But in our case, we're going to go here and we're going to tell Premiere that the range for the source that we're using, we want it to be the entire sequence. We want everything exported. Okay. So now then on this side, this is where we're telling Premiere, hey, this is the kind of file that we want you to create when we export this video. So, of course, we're in Premiere. It's going to give us all the options. But if you want, like the too long didn't read version, here it is. So you're exporting for online, probably. That means the format that you want to select is H.264. And the reason you want to do this is because this is going to create a pretty small file size, which, you know, everybody wants. YouTube wants, all the social media platforms want, because the internet likes small file sizes because they upload fast and then people can play them back fast. Then the other thing is it's going to give you relatively high quality for such a small file. So it's like a win-win. So format is H.264, and then the preset here. So anytime you see a preset, like that is basically, look, we got all these settings here, right? We could adjust them ourselves, but do we want to? No, we're going to go up and we're going to pick a preset where, you know, Premiere's already done these settings for us. So we have lots of options. You'll see Facebook, you'll see, you know, YouTube is down here, Twitter. You could pick one of those if you want, but you don't need to. You're going to go to this very first option here. I have a few more up here because I have some presets, but this is the first default Premiere Pro preset you should see. And the reason you want to set this is because it says match source. That's going to match like all of the attributes from your source sequence. So like what if our sequence right now is square, then it's going to make a video that's exported that's square. We want all that to match up. And then of course, high bit rate is going to mean we're going to be packing a lot of bits of data into this video. So it's going to be high quality and beautiful. So match source, high bit rate. And then right here, it says output name. And we can rename this and we can click here to tell it where to save this. Well, I am going to save this in our dedicated project folder. And inside it, I've got an exports folder. And so I'm just going to double click and put it in here. I've also got exports of this video if you want to kind of see, you know, that was the destination that we were going for when we were editing. So now we're going to click save and then we're done. We could tweak things if we want, but we're going to move on and go down to this button down here at the bottom that is called export. Okay, when we click that, watch, I'm going to hover my mouse over this and nothing's happening. Okay, anyways, a lot of times it should have a little pop-up that's like, yo, there we go. Hey, all right, export immediately. That means that we're going to click this and then you're going to see a little bar and it's going to tick along because exporting takes a while, right? Especially if you added like a lot of fancy motion graphics or effects to your video. And then you're going to wait until that's done and then you're going to export the next video. And let's say you have 20 videos. Well, you're going to be babysitting your computer and ain't nobody got time for that, right? And so what we want to do instead is we want to go over, since we have 2 videos we're exporting, we're going to go over to this button here called Queue. And if you're watching this from across the pond, you know that queue means it's like a line where you're waiting until it's your turn. So we're going to click that. When we click that, we're going to get a little warning from Premiere that says, hey, you've got some low quality audio. That's cool. You need to license it to upload. We know. We're going to press Queue. Now, what is happening? Well, what is happening here is another Adobe app is going to launch. So you'll see it just opened up. Premiere did that for us. Now, if you're like, oh no, wait, I thought this was on Premiere. I don't have this other Adobe app. You definitely should have this Adobe Media Encoder app because it downloads at the same time you download Premiere Pro. And when you do that, this is going to help you export files. Oh, you're on my other monitor. Hello, come over here. All right, so this is the other app that we've got. And now, look, here's the video that we just exported, Gear Organization Tips Square. And it's in this little queue. It's in a queue here. So this is like it's waiting in line until its turn to export. It's not exporting yet. It's going to do that once we tell it to. And if you don't see this queue, you can go up to Window and then make sure that queue is checked. Okay. Now we're going to bounce out of Media Encoder. We're going to go back to Premiere because we're not exporting this yet. And we're going to do our other sequence. So we'll click on that tab. All right. This is our widescreen sequence. And so now we're just going to go to File, Export, Media. We're going to do the same process. We're going to make sure that we're doing the entire sequence. We're going for the format H.264, the preset match, source, high bitrate, and then we're going to queue again. Yes, cool, queue again. And now that other sequence has been added to our queue here. So now we've got two little videos lined up, ready to be exported. And to export them, we're going to press this button up here, this green button that says Start Queue. I'm not going to press it right now because that would use a lot of my processor, and that's already being used by this live streaming application. So I don't want to break the stream, but basically that's the entire process. That is, and I'm excited for you to know the entire process because sometimes, tutorials will like focus on one little section, and when you're just starting out, you're like, I really want to make a video all the way through. And so now, once you click queue, like you can go and Netflix and chill and go to bed and wake up and then admire, all of your amazing work. And y'all, I just want to tell you, you really have done an amazing job. This went longer than I thought. And so, you really stuck around because this is really going to build your skills. So you should be proud. I know there's so many features to go through in Premiere. I know in the beginning when you're learning, it can be very intimidating, but I hope that this webinar has taught you like those features are there not to make your life complicated, but to really make things easier for you and faster when you're editing. Like we've got so many options. We've got auto buttons that are automating the grunt work of editing so that we can focus on the creative stuff, on making these stories that make the impact that we want to make. We've got keyboard shortcuts to make things super fast. And so I hope that by going through this, you're feeling empowered to make whatever you want to make with this application. I do want to let you know, I just want to remind you that I have a full recap guide. So if I went too fast, too slow, you need to remind yourself of something, you can go there and check that out. It has all the steps I just went through. You can find that at marybetsy.com/Premiere Pro. That's linked down in the description below. You can also go to Adobe's website. They have a ton of free Premiere tutorials and kind of like guided little mini courses. Or if you want to learn more from me, you can go to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/marybetsy. Or if you want to learn some advanced editing tips in Premiere, then I've got a course coming out I've been working on for a while. And so if you want to know when that drops, then you can sign up at my website, marybetsy.com, and I'll give you a special early cat discount. But in the meantime, I really just want to tell y'all, thank y'all for sticking through this entire webinar and being so sweet as, I'm learning how to do live streaming. And I will stick around and kind of look in the chat if there's anything else. I'll thank you so much that I can answer or clarify, and I'd be happy to do that or to try to do that or maybe direct you in some directions. And I know there is a little bit of delay, so I'll just stick around if anybody else has any questions or anything specific you want me to demo. Yeah, just let me know. And I'd love to know, anything else that you're interested in learning in Premiere that I didn't cover today. Let me know that too. All right, cool. We're seeing, I'm just getting a lot of love right now, which, I don't want to read back to you. I'll feel like I'm bragging, but I'm very, very grateful and I really appreciate it. Yeah, because I know it's hard to learn new software and to know where to start. So I really wanted to cover a lot. Okay. I want to add a spinning clock. Creative effects and keyframing. Yes, I have an entire lesson on animation. There's so much you can do with animation in Premiere, and I feel like there's a lot of tutorials on the internet where people kind of jump in and make some assumptions about what I know, and then I get more confused. And so, yeah, that's definitely a topic. It's good to know other people are interested in that. Let's see what else people are saying. Awesome webinar. And Leon is the king of emojis. Why don't we end it there? I don't see anybody having any extra questions, but I really appreciate all the love. Thank y'all so much, and enjoy using Premiere, and thanks for hanging out with me today. All right, bye y'all.